Half of the folks that I have on this program are normally in Florida, and now the scale has tilted just a little bit, and we now have Brian White in Florida, having attended a big showdown. Well, I don't know how big the show was, but it did have a bunch of some kind of vehicle, some kind of weird stainless steel, like everything in your background vehicle.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about
it was a microwave refrigerator and Cybertruck fest is what we had here in Ocala, Florida, where I am still at until tomorrow. And it was magnificent. We were hoping to get 30, 40 trucks. Well, in the light show alone, we had 78. For the day, we had over 104. We don't know the exact count. That was just the highest number one of our volunteers was able to get at one point. So it was a heck of a day. We did off-road courses. We had presentations by Dr. Scott Walter, myself, a bearded Tesla guy, Tesla Tino, lots of great folks there. There was bouncy houses. There was a mechanical bull. There was food trucks. And it got one of the people who helped coordinate the event said, if you'd have told me it was going to be this big, and we're like, going to stop you right there. We had no idea.
no idea. Yes.
We had high hopes, but
High hopes. Yes. Always high hopes. But then you never know with any event. It's just, yeah, you just never know.
yeah.
And you can do the same event next year and be surprised again, either low or high.
Well, the thing is, the promoter, Drake, is looking to reach out to other clubs around the country who might wish to host one of these. So we could partner up with them, swoop in, bring the expertise, show them what we know, and help them make the event absolutely huge.
Well,
So
as long as they have the bouncy house. Yeah.
as long as they have don't worry, in a high enough wind, they're portable. So if you or a loved one is part of a club and would love to have a cyberfest in your neck of the woods, reach out to myself, reach out to Drake, who you can find through me, I guess, but we would love to talk to you.
Yeah, sounds like a good time. Well, I'm glad you were able to do that and promote cyber trucking all over the world. Um, so what we've been doing here, you did it last week. You brought me your top 10 questions. And so I just thought, what the heck? I guess I better give my 10 questions now. So we'll do five of them today and five of them on Tuesday, or whenever that show actually ends up showing, but typically on Tuesday. So number one question for you to contemplate. Tony Seba says that it's possible to get enough electricity generation by 2030 to switch 100% to renewables in the United States. And Gordon 𝐑𝐚𝐧𝐝𝐲 agrees with him. Just did a video, I think, over the weekend. And he says, yeah, that is possible, but suggests it would be a Herculean task. Number one, this is not a question. These are some subsets to the question. This is still the setup to the question.
Good Lord.
This should be a goal of the Trump administration. Number two, even if we miss by a whisker, it would be hugely important and beneficial. Maybe we missed by 10%. Well, great. You still shot for the Mars and got the moon. Three, strategically, both from an economic and military perspective, and would place the U.S. in a dominant position for another generation. Number four, if using primarily solar and battery, Tesla would be one of the biggest companies in the world just due to this part of the business. And number five, even if nuclear were a part of the mix, not just solar and battery, it is looking more and more likely that nuclear will be part of the mix. Tesla would still probably get to 200 billion in sales, 50 billion in profits from the energy storage alone. End of the setup. Here's the question.
The
Elon,
gravy.
Elon, why isn't this very close to your top priority? Seems that it would be the most impactful and seemingly easiest way to impact sustainability and lower emissions, plus generate human wealth. So what is your current 5 and 10-year plan?
That is insane, Randy. I would have assumed that each of those was a question. That's
Oh my
I
God.
don't even know where to start with that. So my question is, what's the question? What is Elon's, why is it not his number one priority?
Yes.
Because the other priorities are coming sooner. And a lot of these tasks are too large to tackle in anything other than a long-term way. Thinking nuclear will be online by 2030 is very unlikely. It takes forever to build. There are none that are shovel ready today. They're still in the permitting and planning phases. So nuclear continues to get subsidies. It's always gotten tremendous subsidies, even when projects go unfinished. So I don't know that that would be something hugely helpful. Citing Tony Seba is a little bit of cheating because he's a time traveler, and but Jordan 𝐑𝐚𝐧𝐝𝐲 definitely knows what he's doing. Is it possible to get the generation by 2030? Absolutely. I haven't seen a concrete plan put forward by the candidates that would get us on that path, and I've seen a lot of other objectives that they're pushing that are that would require tremendous political capital. That would require them to, call in all their favors to get them done, even if they could get them done. And that would leave no room left for something as ambitious and expansive as rethinking the grid entirely. So I have zero confidence that the people running for president today would actually be able to, that this is even on their list of priorities.
Yeah. Okay. So just real quick on nuclear. I want to say it was one of the top tech companies said the other day that they are in the planning processes for putting in 3 mini nuclear reactors to support their data center. One of the other majors, I'm going to forget who, said that they're going to restart 3 Mile Island in order to get their data center going. And there are other mini nuke conversations going on like crazy all over the X, all over X. So I think we're maybe surprised by how rapidly the nuclear thing could come into play.
And that's always been true since forever about nuclear, is we could be surprised at how quickly it happens, and we never are. So I'm not, I refuse to bank on the thing that has never happened yet happening, because it gets just beyond the scope of what's credible. It could happen. That would be great. But 3 Mile Island coming back online seems like the most realistic of the possibilities. So I think that would be, something that could actually happen in the next 6 years. But those ones that are still in permitting phase to get online and generating in 6 years is difficult.
Okay. All right. So number 2, this one has a fairly long setup also, but please forgive me. Automated electric semi-trucks will eventually cut the cost of everything humans consume by at least 10%. It could get much higher, as these trucks will likely displace trains. Taking the trucks underground would be in the major truck corridors would add another layer of immense benefit. Number 1, lower cost of everything that travels by truck or train by a lot. 2, dramatic reduction in pollution from CO2 and from CO2 and brake dust. Number 3, reduce freeway and highway congestion even without the tunnels. Number 4, eliminate another stressful and boring job. Number 5, add dramatically to the wealth of any nation that goes down this path. And number 6, if Tesla were to make only $500,000 per year at $125,000 each, which is kind of the average price of a diesel truck, this would be $62 billion in business per year with something like $16 billion profit. But with autonomy, the number is likely at least another $50,000 per vehicle at purchase of virtually pure profit. So that adds $25 billion of sales and total profit of $41 billion per year. The market is for at least 4 million vehicles per year. So if Tesla got to 25%, this number would double to 82 billion per year. Question. Elon, along with battery storage, this has to have some priority. This has been shown on your master plans to have a high priority. How would you see the numbers shaping up in the next 5 to 10 years?
So again, my goodness, I appreciate the essay, Professor Kirk, but let's dig into it a bit. So pushing back on a couple of things, I believe it would lower the cost of everything. How dramatically? Marginally, because the transportation is only one part of the cost. It doesn't cover anything up until the time it gets into the truck or anything from the time it gets out of the truck, let alone the corporate profits and the overhead and all of those other things. But this would help reduce inflation in the same way that Costco and Walmart have in the past by just bringing down costs, improving supply chains. Dramatic reduction in pollution, both CO2 and brake and tire particulates. If they go underground with it, then they can't. That would require tunneling the entire country in every direction all the time. And at that point, just use trains. If you've got an environment that's that controlled, the beauty of the semi is it uses the existing infrastructure. The roads are already there. But just getting to electrification reduces CO2, reduces noise, and definitely reduces brake dust. Regen is the solution to brake dust. And tunnels, boy, they'd have to really, it'd just be too much. At that point, you're looking at an entirely different solution. And so let's see. But I did want to say, you said, what if it's 500,000? And the thing is, that number is definitely too high. No one in the world makes even half that today. But if we cut it in half, it looks less insane. But then the price you used, 125,000, is insanely low. We would definitely want to double that. So if you cut the number of production in half and double the price, you're still at 62 billion. So that's very possible. There's a lot of competition in this space, and it will only get more aggressive. It could be that Tesla would win on product availability or ease of charging or speed of charging, but it's more likely that they'll win on autonomy, which would, of course, be a country by country or region by region issue that would have to be permitted locally.
Okay, so 5 years, 10 years?
Well, what's the question? I mean, you asked me 90 questions.
What does it look like 5 years from now? Are we at 250,000 a year 5 years from now?
Not 5 years from now. No. I'd say even 250,000 is a maybe someday number, but again, it would require them to be the biggest truck manufacturer in the world times 2.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Question number 3. Everyone, and this is not the question yet. This is the setup. But it's really short, I think. Wait, maybe not. I might be lying. Okay. Everyone in the Optimus prediction business seems to be pulling back on their optimism. We're at a disadvantage as none of us can really see the current level of useful skills. You, Elon, have a window into that. You said about 1,000 or so in 2025 and production and sale or lease to others in 2026. We just had a rollout of a very sophisticated new product called Cybertruck, and Tesla seems to be on track for about 75,000 in its first year. Most are expecting 250,000 in year 2, with a run rate much higher than that by the end of 25. Question, why wouldn't we anticipate at least 75,000 Optimi in 2026 and 250,000 in 2027 as a bare minimum, like the Cybertruck?
So if I'm Elon, my response would be, how did you get into my house? But in terms of Optimus, I would say that is optimism fading? Are people disenchanted by what's going on? I haven't seen that. There isn't a lot of hype right now. And what I would answer to that is, it's because you ain't seen nothing yet. It's because we haven't shown you our latest demo. Everyone's showing you their latest demo. Not everyone. All the demos you've seen are of the latest thing that each company has shown in the best light possible. Tesla hasn't shown us anything for a year. We don't know what it's doing. If they wanted to make it today, they could. It is, by many estimates, certainly mine, a minimum viable product. It was a year ago. You and I have discussed this. You would have bought it a year before that. So it's loading the spring. It's making it so that when the first gen comes out, the much improved second gen isn't 3 months behind, but 6 months to a year. So those are all ways that they keep that going. I don't know that the official number is 250,000 for the Cybertrucks. The official number I'd seen was more like 125,000. with everyone expecting it to exceed that. Everyone credible, everyone's serious. So why wouldn't we anticipate at least 75,000 Optimi in 2026 and 250,000 beyond? I can't give you the Elon answer, but my answer is because they'll only sell them when they're ready by their standards. And I hope in the early days they don't sell them; they lease them,
Right.
so that when there's no one has to worry about any kind of failure. It's not even warranty. We'll just swap it out with a different one. And as they're upgraded, you don't have to think about it. The old one, we just drop off a new one. The old one hops in the truck and away we go.
Okay. All right. So reasonable to assume that if the product is good and you make 10 or 20,000, that you could make 75,000 if the product is good enough.
They're very good at manufacturing.
Right.
As soon as it's proved out, it's like, I don't expect a production hell with these the way we've seen with automobiles, which are much more complicated.
Right. Okay. Next, you have the coolest parlor trick that is also a critical piece of the eventual use of both Robotaxi and Optimus is the ability to communicate with the device in ways that would be similar to the science fiction movies we all grew up with. You have mentioned that Optimus will be your friend, and this is a critical aspect of getting to that result. Question, where are we on that journey? When will our cars and Optimus get a voice? Are you waiting until it's too cool for school? Or will it be introduced when it's better than Siri? Will there also be a version that we can access on our phones and computers?
So that is, first of all, hilarious because I forgot that you were not asking me, but asking Elon. And I was like, when did I say a robot was going to be my friend? I think the answer is sooner than anyone else. I think they'll be among the first. What I'd like to see is that my assistant, and I don't mean generic Google Assistant, I mean my assistant, tailored to my settings, my everything, follows me from my car to my phone to my laptop to my whatever, to my smart speaker, whatever, so that when I'm so that it is customized there. We know they have the compute, and I don't mean Tesla has the compute. Their compute, I believe, is dedicated to autonomy at this point, but XAI integration, having Grok in the car, I would say it is not ready today because the server farm just fired up like a week ago. Give it more than a week to crunch. So I think the answer is soon. And to have, that would be like having your robot be your Jeeves, your butler, your Alfred, and that you could just and that when you're not in the presence of your robot, it's like you're having a phone call with your robot. So I think sooner than anyone else, and they have an opportunity to unify it across the products that we use most, specifically your car and your home, and being embodied your world. So first, I would assume first to market in a meaningful way. There'll certainly be some Chinese company that just pushes something out real quick that doesn't work very well, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. And finally for today, because we're going to do 5 today and 5 tomorrow, we are currently expecting a compact car of some time in Q1 2025 that will be using existing lines, according to the understanding, and not be at least fully unboxed. If it's partially unboxed, maybe. We are also expecting a cyber cab that will be unboxed sometime around mid-year 2025. But we've also been thinking we'd see a unboxed Gen 3 vehicle that might be a platform vehicle that could result in a van or other categories. It's so confusing. Question, is the version 2.5 a different vehicle than the unboxed version 3 or just different manufacturing? Is a completely different platform for that? Is a Cybercab a completely different vehicle than the 2.5? Is it on a different platform than 2.5 and 3? And are vans and or small pickup trucks planned for the unboxed platform? Sorry, so many questions, but it's kind of all of a one.
Well, the fact that there are 19 question marks in it tells me it's not one question.
No,
I'll
no, no.
address
This is,
some of them.
oh yes,
So
I
some of
do
them
get
we've speculated on quite heavily. Well, even if you just put commas, it's still.
I see. Okay.
Let's start with the intermediate compact. And when I say intermediate, I don't mean intermediate in size. I mean intermediate in time. The one that would be based on the 3 and Y, the one that would be relatively easy to produce. For that matter, even the Juniper refresh, I saw people saying, I am just sure they're going to put 48-volt in it. Why wouldn't they? And the answer is they need parts commonality with the 3. They could do it, but it increases the scope of the complexity by exponentially. So I don't think we're going, based on the 3 and Y, would have almost everything in common with those vehicles as much as it could. Hopefully the blinkers, hopefully the dash, as many pieces as you can in common. So it would look a lot like them, but maybe have a few features missing. Maybe it doesn't have ventilated seats. Maybe it doesn't have a heated steering wheel to reduce the price. But again, those are parts commonality. Maybe it has those things, but they're not active. And maybe it's just a little bit smaller. So on those, I'm expecting not something revolutionary, but something just a little bit cheaper so that they can increase sales volumes. In terms of the compact itself, the robotaxi, we don't know. We've speculated enough. We'll know in a few weeks. In terms of the true compact, not the robotaxi, but a true compact, every indication I've seen says they're going to get as close to unboxed as they can. They may not get all the way there. They may have some parts that they can't do in that way, but every step in that direction helps. Every vehicle since the Model 3 has been a step toward unboxed, putting the seats onto the battery, making the battery a structural element, the gigacastings, the 48-volt, all of that may be coming. I am expecting to see more steer-by-wire, but I'm not expecting to see it as early as the Juniper refresh. So, and in terms of a bigger vehicle for like boring tunnels or modular design, I think that's still just a little too far out to say.
Okay, so no, I was thinking more of a just a van, just a small van or a small pickup truck.
We'll find out on 1010.
No, I'm talking about not so much the 1010 version, but the Model 3, the version 3 unboxed.
I think that's now you're trying to get us to speculate on events that aren't even scheduled. So that's even tougher.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because this part has continued to be befuddling and confusing to me exactly. But thank you. I think you've straightened out at least your thinking on it. No, you've helped me to visualize a little better, maybe what we're going to see. Elon, thank you so much for that. All right, so here's the first 5 questions. Any closing thoughts before we jump off and jump back on to day 2?
No, I think that was sufficiently exhausting, and I'm ready to take a deep breath and plunge into the second part.
All right. Okay. So as always, thank you for joining on Mondays. And for all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.